of having kids who have the greatest opportunities for college and career as they leave school. One of the things that I think is interesting on the context of, yes, sir. Oh, thank you. One of the things I think is interesting on the context of Memphis and Shelby County schools is that we have over 70% of our charter schools have been primarily founded by African-American leaders. Yeah. And the majority of those, I would say, I don't know the majority, some of them have moved here. I know folks like Robin Webb who come here would consider themselves MEMPHIS to some degree by now. And many of them have come here, and so they are not national folks coming in. They are local leaders who are building schools, and we are getting the benefit of non-traditional. Ms. Webb started off as an attorney, of non-traditional folks coming in with their time, energy, knowledge, and resources to be able to support our kids in improving their opportunities for schools. 70% of those schools that were primarily founded by African Americans are achieving at or above the schools within their region. Again, another thing that I think 70% of the 70% of the schools that were founded by African Americans are doing as well as or better than schools in their region. Another thing that I think that gets overlooked, that as our school system has grown, and somebody said it earlier, that our schools and our education system have been big business. I think it was Mr. Pickler who said it's been one of the largest employers in the country. Again, has also been one of the largest vendors. Our Shelby County Schools is $1 billion enterprise to spend, and that has priced out some African American businesses from doing work with the school system because they can't reach that scale. One of the opportunities is that charter schools has allowed is for vendors to come in and service those schools. And so this is also an economic empowerment opportunity for our African American community. I know that even just at Freedom Prep, I can list landscapers, IT, even audits, CPAs, who are African American, we are making an intentional and focused decision to look for sources from our community to support our school. Last thing, I'm on the last one. This is specifically to the NAACP on clarifying the goals. Apologies, Mr. Johnson, this is not specifically from the resolution, but this is just paraphrasing. So I think that one of our options and one of our opportunities is to decide from both a national, a state, and a local level, what are we counting as meeting these parameters? How do we work with Deidre Malone and the new ED that come in Memphis and Shelby County under the NAACP? How do we work with Ms. Sweetlove, knowing that this is a state-by-state issue, that we certify a district, that we certify a state, that we say they have met the parameters of what we want as the NAACP, so that we say, okay, now the moratorium is lifted if we are truthful to say, if we meet these parameters, so let's define what that means and certify districts and states. Last thing, conclusions and questions. Our school system is embarking on deciding and defining what quality schools are. Hopefully under ESSA, the draft that the state has, we will further refine knowing what a quality school is based both proficiency, growth, culture, what's going on at the school level. And we know that we have options. We have options from our optional schools, our magnet schools that were initiated to stave off white flight from Memphis City schools. So we know that we have always had options within our school, even where we have achievement gaps within those schools and things that we need to address. And we know that we have charter schools as options for our parents, and being clear about we want quality schools, we want to be held accountable, we want to make sure that all of our schools are focused on achieving and developing better academic outcomes for our kids to be successful in college and career. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Questions?
Are you in there?
Yes, sir.
He's in there. Yeah. Question for him.
So 2 quick questions, and I can't count, so excuse me. First, what is the process for selecting students? What is your process for selecting students to attend the charter schools?
Charter schools, based on state law, that charter schools that are authorized by districts are first come, first served, and to the extent that they have a wait list, it's a lottery.
All right. So do you go out and recruit the students, or how, I mean?
Oh, yes. Each of the schools has recruitment efforts, and it's different for the ASD.
Yeah, like our students are zoned, so they live in that community, then they come to us. We can accept a certain percentage we can't exceed 25%. If they're out of zone, we have space, we allow them to come.
So you
So-
can pick which ones you.
No, so there's two ways. So ASD are zoned schools, and kids must be either zoned to that specific school or to a priority school, and they can accept 25% of kids outside of their zone. That's for the ASD. District authorized schools can accept kids from anywhere, but they have to be first come, first served, or based on a lottery system to get into those schools. So there is no selection process. You can't test in. You can't do anything else to meet a parameter to be accepted to the school.
And so you mentioned the state funding formula that has been underfunded, which would bring in about $100 million to the Memphis Shelby County District.
Yes.
Right? And that will have a huge benefit for the district.
Yes.
Right? But if I add my numbers correctly from the board member, 8,000 per students, 30,000 students, that's $240 million hit on the district. Wouldn't you also agree that has had a devastating impact on the school district as well?
I would say to the extent that it's been hard to trace down, and one of the things that one of the Nashville studies tried to do was trace it down as close to the school level, but the impact is hard to see. Pro-charter school folks might say, well, you are reducing the amount of personnel and school buildings and needs that you have on the overhead side. On the opposite side, districts will say that you don't count kids like that. And so that I don't think that any study that I've seen so far, the Nashville study probably tried to come closest to figuring out, based on this school and the kids that are zoned to this, how many would you expect to go off to a charter school and what's the impact on that school. But I think to really assess that and decide on that, you'd have to get down to a class level to decide whether you're losing, whether you are reducing the need for a teacher in the traditional schools.
But let's get away.
So I'm saying that the impact is there, the total dollar amount, but I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison to
Well,
just say.
let's get away
there's a
from studies,
reduction
right? Because
in the
I
need.
played the study games. The study outcome is based on who's paying for the study. So now I want to deal with the studies, right? I just want to walk through. I want to walk through the numbers as we know them. If a child leaving the public school if the per pupil expenditure that leaves with that child $8,000. No? How
No.
much is it?
It's
How much will go to the charter school when the child leaves the public school?
from the district. It would be, if you separate out the federal dollars that get you to the $8,000 to $10,000. It would be around $7,000 to $8,000.
Okay, so $8,000. Let's round it to $8,000.
All right.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And I just heard from the school board member between 25 and 30,000 kids have left.
Yes.
So if I multiply $8,000 times 30,000 kids, I come up with $240 million.
Yes.
Right? You've stated that the significance of the underfunding by the state of Tennessee is a $100 million blow, which could make a big difference.
Yes.
My question back to you is, do you not agree the $240 million hit to the district also could make a big difference?
I would say that it makes a difference, but the $100 million is for the kids who are serviced by all of the school. It's in addition to, it would increase the per pupil. So to make that, I don't think that that's necessarily the same comparison to say the kids who are now being serviced by another school, by another public school, is the same reduction in funding to the district as $100 million in additional per pupil funding. The impact of that is on the district to providing an adequate education.
But the physical plant is the same. The infrastructure is the same.
Is somewhat the same, yes. It's somewhat the same.
If you have 5 buildings that the tax base is paying for, and those 5 infrastructure needs are the same for the children who attend school in those districts, and if some of those students are taken out of those buildings and sent to another building, then that district have less money to operate with. So that would be the same as if that district having those same 5 buildings, those kids, no kids leaving, and them not getting the $100 million. So not only are they not getting the money, they're having money bleed away from them as well.
That would depend on the analysis. Again, I would say that depends on the analysis of the fixed versus the variable cost.
Hang on. I believe the conversation is between Cordell and Mr. Johnson. The rest of us are supposed to be listening. It is a hearing.
So you was about to go to a fixed and variable cost, right? But the fixed and variable cost is built into the child in the seat. And so that fixed and variable cost applies equally to whether it stays in a public school or in charter school. And that fixed and variable cost of that child leaves in the public school depletes the fixed and variable cost for their public school, and you just add it on your fixed and variable cost for the charter school. But if that child stayed there, that public school, if managed properly, utilizing the principles that we opened up with, that child could still get a quality education. My struggle with the charter versus public, it is a false argument that we've been forced to have when the issue is proper governance and real support. And so I'm seeing entrepreneurs pursuing opportunities, exploiting the scenario of an overall process of the state not properly supporting our children and their quality learning.
Can I
And so,
answer?
sure.
So I would say, I would agree, but as I listed off in terms of a historical context here, we've had 170 years of public schools overall, 150 years of African Americans being educated, and we know that it hasn't been as easy to turn that ship. I think, as President Obama recently said, turning government is not like turning a jet boat. I'm not going to get the analogies right, but more like turning a tanker